It seems like every year or so, one of the industry groups or another reaches out to the Pipeline Safety Trust and asks us, what are up and coming issues that the public is maybe paying attention to that the industry is not? And I think for over 10 or 11 years now, what I've been saying is you guys need to start paying attention to climate change. And I think even at our very first conference here in this hotel, we had a person that came and did a keynote talk 11 years ago on climate change, and it was one of your very friendly climate change things about the 10 things you can do to help prevent climate change. And I remember a bunch of industry people at the time that were here. I think Susan Waller was at that very first thing, and the industry was like, often many of them said, boy, this is the first time we've heard about all of this stuff. Well, here we are 11 years later, and climate change has taken off, and it's led to a whole new issue, kind of the keep it in the ground movement. People that think we need to quit using fossil fuels as fast as possible and transition to other things. And I've been kind of harping on that to the industry associations for a few years now, that they need to start thinking about this and addressing it. And but there still is this huge gulf between what many believe, particularly in the industry, about climate change and those issues, and people on the other side of it. And just to demonstrate that gulf, I want to play 2 short videos.
We were told our fossil fuel usage would bring ecological disaster on a cataclysmic scale. Earth was supposed to be uninhabitable by now. Yet, life is better than ever. People around the world have climbed out of unspeakable poverty. By any measure, our environment is better than it's ever been. This, all powered by coal, oil, and natural gas. But how? How could the experts have been so wrong? Not only wrong, but hysterical and reactionary and rude, stifling progress in the process. I'm Alex Epstein, founder of the Center for Industrial Progress, and I have a question. Isn't it time someone made the moral case for the use of more fossil fuels? Wind and solar power remain unreliable. Fossil fuels burn cleaner and cheaper than ever to advance our growing world. They save lives in operating rooms, fight famine, heat and cool homes in the most extreme places. Without fossil fuels, society slides backwards. It's good that we use fossil fuels. Our world would be better if we used more. We can no longer deny the big picture, the real picture. The truth must be exposed. The time is now. It's here. The moral case for fossil fuels.
So there's that view. And just for full disclosure, Mr. Epstein, who did this little video and has written a book about the same issues, was the keynote speaker at the American Petroleum Institute Pipeline Conference, I think the year before last. And here's the other.
Today, there's no greater threat to our planet than climate change. Fourteen of the 15 hottest years on record have all fallen in the first 15 years of this century. Climate change can no longer be denied or ignored.
Last December, it was supposed to be about 40 below in Koktovik, and it was 40 above and raining in the Arctic. Climate change in my community, we feel it. Everything in our reality has shifted, and it's not going back. My people, our whole way of living has changed dramatically.
There's now consensus among virtually all scientists that global warming is underway. Man-made greenhouse gas emissions are a significant cause. The only questions are how we're going to deal with it and try to prevent it getting far worse.
Our simple request to the president is that the fossil fuels he controls stay in the ground, rather than being sold to fossil fuel companies like oil, gas, and coal companies.
America's publicly owned lands and offshore waters are being sold at rock-bottom prices for private fossil fuel extraction. Making the world's wealthiest energy companies richer while driving the world's climate deeper into crisis. Some of these wealthy companies, you might know them by name. ExxonMobil, Shell, Arch Coal, Peabody are exploiting and degrading millions of acres of America's shared and natural resources, causing serious harm to the health of our communities and sending massive carbon pollution into the atmosphere.
We have people who are being displaced right now, some of the first people to be displaced in America due to climate change. It seems like every time we try to do something, then the state government or the federal government does something to counter that. If you don't think so, why are they re-drilling at the Deepwater Horizon site right now?
We're asking President Obama to issue an executive order to keep fossil fuels in the ground.
Through that action, he can prevent more than 450 billion tons of carbon from being mined and emitted into the air.
We have to compare the climate efforts of our current president to the climate demands from the reality that we live in today. We have to keep fossil fuels in the ground.
This is the only planet we've got. And years from now, I want to be able to look our children and grandchildren in the eye and tell them that we did everything we could to protect it.